Hey guys, Trevor here, and today I wanted to tell you my story and how I got started with e-commerce. So, a little bit about me first. I'm from Seattle, Washington. I grew up in Seattle and I got to experience the city and all of its splendor. I went to school out there up until I was in my sixth grade. It was an interesting experience growing up in Seattle. Seattle's a cool city, a little on the cold side. It's a lot of rain out there, but in the summer it's absolutely gorgeous, and it kind of makes you appreciate the sun more being out there. And really had a lot of fun growing up out there. I remember like learning how to ride bikes for the first time. I was at my friend's house, and he had a bicycle, and I couldn't even ride like that day. I couldn't figure it out how to balance without the training wheels. And one day I went up there by myself, snuck into his garage, grabbed the bike, and he had a little driveway that goes downhill. And I literally just focused on it. I was like, I want this so bad. And then I just rode the bike, and somehow I balanced and I made it down the hill. And I was so freaking out. I went and told my parents, and they came up and saw me, and they were congratulating me and stuff. So it was a really good experience. And I remember being out there in the summer and like hanging out on the hill. We lived on this really steep hill called Finney Ridge, and over by the Fremont area, and the hill was so steep that in the wintertime we could sled down the hill when it was icy and snowy. And in the summertime it was the perfect kind of incline to sit on and enjoy the sunset in a warm summer evening. And I remember growing up out there, and I actually attended an alternative school for a few years when I was a kid, and my parents had me in there because they didn't like the whole grading system and what was going on in the Seattle public schools at the time. So the alternative school seemed like the best bet. And alternative schools, they don't have a grading system, so you're based upon your other performance values. You get a report at the end of each half year, I think it was. Twice a year, and they kind of grade you upon what they thought about you. You just get a report from the teachers and the parents. That's it. And there was less of like a jumping around thing and more of a core classroom setup over there, so you could easily like get used to the family kind of atmosphere over there, and it was really fun. So but around my fifth grade year, my parents got into some crazy financial situations, and they ended up getting divorced. And so what happened was I had to actually move in with my mom at the time, and we ended up going to a different school. So we switched schools. We went to a school called Briarcrest, which is in the Shoreline area. And Briarcrest was a pretty cool school. A little bit higher class kids. It's up in the hills a little bit. A lot of the kids had more money, so they're a little bit more stuck up, of course. But at the same time, I still made some good friends there. I had some good experiences. I only went there for a year. It was my sixth grade year, and I learned a lot. It was the year I stood up to some bullies. Up until that point, I'd been kind of bullied around a bit when I was a kid, pushed around, and that year I decided to stand up to some of them. Gave one a good old bloody nose, punch to the face. He was just messing with me one day. We were playing kickball, and I think he was just messing with me. He was just kind of getting in my face and bullying me around, and I just had enough, and I told him to back off, and he didn't. So I punched him square in the face, gave him a bloody nose. And the funniest thing was he was all big and macho up to that point, and then as soon as he got that punch to the face, he started crying and screaming and running away and freaking out. Everybody was laughing, so I had some pretty good street cred after that or whatever. So it wasn't the biggest thing, but for me it kind of was. It was where I sort of grew up in life a little bit right there. So had some good friends. We talked about what college would be like a lot. I remember that, and did a lot of after-school activities over there. And then my mom met a guy named Ward, and she moved with him to Idaho. So in Idaho, it was my seventh grade year. It was my first year in Idaho, and she moved kind of like the boondocks out into the woods. I guess they just wanted to have safety and obscurity from the local government. They're real like doomsday prepper types and libertarian types, whereas my dad really stayed liberal and stayed in the democratic and that sort of type of person in Seattle. My dad met one of his college sweethearts, Sue, and they moved in together. So not only did I have a home in Idaho now, but I also had a home in Seattle. So everything was real up and up, real steady at that point. And school was fun. School was really interesting. School was all in one, so we had 7th through 12th in one school. Because the classes were so small, the school was also very small, and so it was all indoors. There were no like outside lockers or outside hallways. Everything was indoors. Kind of felt like, you know, a penitentiary at some points when it was bad, and it also felt like a social club at other points because it was really fun and there were some cool people there. Kind of got some, kind of had to get used to it because there was a lot of people that didn't really grow up with much culture out there, so they're used to just like, you know, firearms and riding four-wheelers and hunting and stuff like that, you know, and that was about it. So had to get used to that. But in 7th, 8th grade, I met a kid named Brandon Bell, who's one, you know, I'm still friends with him on Facebook. So Brandon, if you watch this, dude, thank you, man. But he got me into skateboarding. Because I had a scooter, a push scooter at the time, and I was playing around with that thing, and he had a skateboard, and skateboarding obviously is like, you know, a bit cooler than riding scooters. I don't know about these days, but back then it certainly was. So actually got into skateboarding at that time, and that was really fun because at the time I didn't really have anything else going for me. I was like maybe a cool guy. I was into like Pokemon cards. Back then Pokemon was like this really like, you know, obscure thing where like you kind of shunned away if you played Pokemon, but you know, there was like the underground people that like still kept it alive, and it was popular for a bit, but whatever, you know. And I was into like tech stuff and computers, real geeky type. So getting into skateboarding was like a big leap for me because I wanted to be more of a cool kid, you know. Like that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to grow up a little bit, move to California eventually, you know, and get into all that, into like music and stuff like that. So getting into skateboarding was definitely a big thing for me, and Brandon pushed me a lot when I was that age, because at first I didn't really know how to do it, no videos or anything to teach me, so I just kind of started giving up. And then he said, well, I'm going to take my skateboard back if you don't learn how to ollie within a week. And so that kind of gave me, you know, the push to like really like spend some time learning how to ollie. And I was lucky. I had my parents, their house was on an airstrip, so there was an airplane hangar inside the house at like on the bottom level. Like the top level is where we lived, the bottom level is where we worked, and there was like a shop and an office and an airplane hangar. It was this big old like warehouse looking house, and so I had an airplane hangar all to myself. They never bought an airplane, so it was never filled up. It was just filled up with stuff from my mom's wardrobe career that she had left over. She had like makeup and costumes and stuff she brought with her for some reason, so she like, you know, hanging on to all that stuff. So she had stuff in there, but I cleared out some space and made myself a little skate park, and I set up whatever I could find. And I think I had like a wooden pallet or something, but at first I had a carpet, and that's what I learned on, was how to skate on a carpet, because carpets, if you fall, it's not a big deal. Plus, you know, you're not going to slip out very easily. It's pretty steady. And back then we didn't have like things that they have now where you can, you know, you don't have to buy the wheels and trucks. You can buy like those like training things. So I learned how to ollie in about a week. It took me a lot of time because I really didn't have any mentors that knew how to do it besides Brandon. Brandon wasn't that good. I mean, he was better than I was, but you know, he wasn't like pro or anything. And you know, the videos back then were expensive. It was like $20 to buy a video. It wasn't the internet, so I mean, the internet existed, but it was dial-up. You know, real slow. There wasn't any video streaming to speak of back then. So what I had to do was I had to kind of learn on my own, and I pushed myself so hard, and I eventually learned how to ollie. It was crazy, you know. You just put your foot on the back and on the front, and I'm gonna do a whole series on this YouTube channel about teaching you guys how to skate, because I know a lot about skateboarding now, and can definitely teach tricks on how to get better at it. But regardless, back then it was pretty fun. It took me a little bit to learn how to kickflip, and I actually learned other tricks first. But the cool thing about it was where I was living in Spirit Lake, there was a public skate park. And at the time there was a half pipe, and that was it. And it was just a big, wide half pipe, and went from about one side of a basketball court to the other. So it was a basketball court and a half pipe in the middle. A big ramp, middle ramp, and small ramp. And so every day after school that we could, spring through fall, well, you know, in the summer too, but yeah, it's kind of rainy and snowy out there in the winter. So it was like mid-springish we could skate, and then through the summer, and then up till like mid-fall. But we would go to the skate park as often as we could, me and my friends Cody and Robbie and all the other kids that skated at the school that I hung out with. There wasn't a lot of us, but there was just enough to like make it so like we always kind of had a crew going on. So, and Brandon of course. So we'd go there, we learned tricks, remember the day I learned how to rock and roll on the mini ramp. That was really cool. I learned how to axle stall. That was amazing. Just the feeling of being able to turn, stop, and go back in and really control the motion without slipping out and falling. That was incredible. I'd never surfed before up until that point. I think I started snowboarding before I started skating. That's why I was able to get into skating and sort of learn it quicker than normal, is because when I was a few years younger than that, a friend of mine was into snowboarding. I was into skiing. I grew up skiing. So I started skiing at a really young age, like 3 or 4, because my dad was like a cross-country skier, and he would take us out cross-country skiing. It's really fun. If you guys have never gone cross-country skiing, go cross-country skiing. It's a blast. No matter what you do, it's a blast. And it's kind of like running mixed with ice skating, but of course it's on the snow. Anyways, cross-country skiing was really fun when I was a kid, and then I got into downhill skiing eventually. My parents took me to lessons because there's a lot of snow out there in the wintertime. So winters are really long, and there's plenty of time to go up there and go skiing and snowboarding. So I learned how to ski really well. I was like really, really good at skiing at a young age. I would do like double black diamonds, no problem, moguls and all that crazy stuff, slaloms. So I was really good. I never did jumps or anything like that or grinding rails, but I would just be able to go down like crazy hills and stuff. But around the age of like, I think it was 12, 13, I got into snowboarding because my friend introduced me to it. So snowboarding was really cool. And I am right-handed, so I should have been left foot forward. That's usually how it goes. Regular footers are right-handed, goofy footers are left-handed. It's kind of, normal, but my friend was left-handed, and he was snowboarding goofy foot. So I was a regular at first, and then I started snowboarding goofy, and I actually realized, I was like, I kind of like this better for some reason, so I just stuck with it. I'm a right-handed goofy skater now, so it's kind of nice because I've actually been able to learn how to skate switch a lot. So regular stance, I can skate really well. And that's kind of part of the reason, I kind of started switch first, really. So, now I'm learning backwards, but I can skate backwards really well. So, and I can snowboard backwards. The last time I went snowboarding, I actually was doing regular the entire day. So I was riding switch the whole day, learning how to carve and go down big hills switch too. So, growing up and learning how to skate after that was really cool, because then in the summer times I would have something to do, and it was skating, and it was keeping me out of trouble. It was keeping me productive, and it's a creative outlet. It's kind of like dance, and it's an exercise, a sport as well. So learning how to skate is like tricks, learning how to go really fast, catch air, and learning how to fall properly. It's like, martial arts, you got to learn how to fall really well. And I was in martial arts when I was a kid. Shaolin Kung Fu is what I learned, and the first thing they teach you is how to fall, because if you get knocked down by an opponent and you fall and hurt yourself, you don't have much of a way to defend yourself. So you got to fall right first, and he would teach you how to fall backwards and stop yourself, how to fall to the side, how to roll, how to fall forwards and avoid hurting your wrists. And I use that these days to be able to learn how to fall on a skateboard and not hurt myself. I have to avoid the points like my elbows, my wrists, my hips, my tailbone, my knees, my ankles, so I can avoid all that stuff just by rolling out and tucking in a lot of the time. Sometimes things happen, but most of the time I'm able to get out of it. So anyways, skateboarding was a huge thing for me when I was a kid. I read a lot of skate magazines, watched a lot of skateboard videos, and it really pushed me to learn skating. I watched the culture and like all these big names. Chad Muska back in the day was just killing it. There was just so many different people like Jamie Thomas and Mike Carroll and Mike Vallely and Tony Hawk, who I read Tony Hawk's books cover to cover. I played his video games every single day, just like everybody else did in skateboarding. What else? He produced his Tony Hawk's Trick Tips. That's how I learned skateboarding, was watching Tony Hawk's Trick Tips, volumes 1, 2, and 3. I just watched that constantly, over and over and over again, and I would try to emulate the way they did stuff. It was so cool, and he did such a good he had such a good job producing those videos, that it was thanks to him that I learned how to skate. So thanks, Tony. And I actually got to meet him. It was really cool during a 360 virtual reality shoot with the Birdhouse team at the Transworld Skate Facility in Carlsbad a couple months ago, and that was the most amazing thing. And I was super lucky, and I'm really grateful to have a chance to actually shake hands with him and hang out for a minute and say a few things with him and talk with him. So a childhood idol, really cool guy, very down to earth, very, very calm and chill and fun. Like, he's just a fun dude. He's still a kid at heart, but he's also a very smart businessman and entrepreneur. So wow, yeah, enough said about Tony Hawk, but that guy definitely has my respect and admiration for life. But regardless of that, there's a lot of other skaters that influenced my skating style when I was younger too. And a lot of those were street skaters. So street skating had a big impact on me because I was never really good at the ramps. Like I was good at mini ramp stuff, but I just never really like caught on to it that well. So street skating was something I caught on to really well though. And growing up, there was a skate park in Seattle called Rain City Skate Park. And Rain City Skate Park was an indoor park that was a temporary park built in a warehouse that wasn't being used for a long time. They basically just rented out the space for cheap because the owners weren't using it for anything. Built a world-class skate park. It was like a full mini ramp, a full mega, like regular sized 11, 12 foot half pipe, and then a full street course too, and then even a mini ramp. It was just insane. Like it was like pyramid hips and ramps and hubbas and rails and huge things. And if you type in Rain City Skate Park on YouTube, you might see some old footage, like Mike Vallely dropping in from the huge chop into the ramp. Anyway, a lot of stuff went down there. Really cool place, really great scene. They really treated the kids well. There was summer camps, and I did one of their summer camp sessions with the local Manic skate team. That was really fun, and they have a really good skate team. Their crew of guys are really talented and really friendly as well. So it was a great time. But I learned how to street skate there. Seattle Center had a skate park as well, because my dad still lived in Seattle. So what would happen was when I was a teenager going through 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, I would fly back and forth from Idaho to Seattle like twice a month. It was crazy. Yeah, like little hour flights, spend the weekend, come back, that kind of thing. In the summertime, it was like spend a week or two, come back, whatever, spend a month, come back. And that was just great experiences because my dad understood that, like, hey, I wasn't really into basketball anymore or baseball at a particular point after my freshman, sophomore year, that I was more into skateboarding. And skateboarding is actually a very healthy thing. It's obviously there's a lot of risk involved, but we were willing to take that risk just because it was such a healthy exercise for me. I would go out, I would exercise, half the day. I would be able to get myself around town. I would take the bus myself to the skate parks. I would have a little mobile phone, a little brick phone, keep in touch with my parents. I'll let them know what's going on. Come back, I'd be totally relaxed, and all the craziness is out, and that was it. And in the school years, I would do my homework and then go skate. It was a good time. So growing up, I definitely had fun skating the old Seattle Center skate park. They have a new one now that's way nicer. The old one wasn't actually in Seattle Center; it was like across the street. The new one's in Seattle Center, so it's really cool. Really nicely laid out. But the old one is where I kind of started. Rain City Skate Park is where I started. Spirit Lake, Idaho, that skate park. There's also a skate park in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho that's still the same, a little bit extra added to it, but it's still the same that it was when I first started, almost 10 years ago. Well, actually more than 10 years, like 15 years ago now I first started skating there. So that's been the same, kind of a, whatever skate park. It's pretty nice. It's chill, nothing crazy, but also, nothing special. So grew up skating there too, and there's a skate park in Post Falls, Idaho. So all these places were kind of like my training grounds, my training facilities, if you would say. And I'm not a professional now, but I still skate a lot, and I really enjoy it. And I can do a lot more stuff than I could do back then. So attribute a lot of that success to growing up and skating these parks. And also street skating. Now, when I turned 17, 18, I had a girlfriend, and we would like go out all the time and do stuff, and it led to a lot more like partying and stuff like that. So things kind of changed for me, and I stopped skating as much, but I was still like out there skating, even though like there was work to do. I had to work a day job. I had to do schoolwork. I had a girlfriend. We would go party and stuff like that and hang out on the weekends and have all-nighters and stuff like that. Like I would still go skate the next day. It was just the thing that I did, and like I knew that it was healthy for me because I would feel so good when I did it. It was an adrenaline rush, and I'm an adrenaline junkie, but I'm not like that guy on that dirt bike jumping 50 feet in the air, but I'm that skater, catching 360 flips and stuff like that and doing grinds across ledges because the small stuff is less risky, and it's also just as fun as the big stuff. So but at the same time, I wanted to get out there to California. I wanted to do this stuff, skate the skate spots that I could see in the magazines. And so 16, 17, I was going through this phase where like I was really dying to go like experience life in California. And so I started visualizing it a lot. I started drawing it. I started taking pictures out of magazines, creating collages. Unknowingly, I was kind of creating the life inside my mind myself. And that's kind of the first step in the law of attraction, is you got to create what you want in life. You got to attract it. You have to say, okay, this is real, and this is really what I want to do. And so that's what I was doing unknowingly, which was really cool because, hey, I had the instinct already to have the law of attraction in my life. No big deal. I could do this. If I really wanted to try, I could push it, the level so much higher. So what I ended up doing was saving up all my airline miles. I saved up every airline mile I could. I didn't use any of them. And by the time it was spring break of my senior year, me and my friend Robbie were really good friends, hanging out a lot. And he's from Northern California, from the Roseville area in Sacramento. Some of you might be familiar. They have a great skate park out there. They have a lot of street spots, a really cool scene out there. Music scene is amazing in Sacramento. Deftones are from Sacramento. Cake is from Sacramento. So there's really great artistic, amazing bands. A ton of other cool stuff going on out there. Everybody smokes weed. It's just a fucking awesome scene. So we actually were able to, I bought round trip tickets to San Francisco and back using those airline miles. So it was free. Me and Robbie, and we went. And it was a little crazy. Like, we didn't know, like, at the last second, he got sick, I got sick, and, like, we were freaking out. And I had to reschedule for the flight for the next day, and it cost us $50 or something. And we didn't know if it was going to work out. And then all of a sudden, the sickness went away, and we were good. So we hopped on that flight and got out there. We flew out to San Francisco. We stayed at my uncle's house. My uncle lives out there in San Francisco, and we stayed there for a couple days. We took the BART into the city and skated around the city. And that was an amazing experience for me because I had never skated like San Francisco before. I skated Seattle. San Francisco is a whole nother deal. They got the most amazing skate spots. They have the pier right there, and they have 3rd and Army, which isn't really on 3rd and Army, but it's near 3rd and Army. And it's this old abandoned bus depot that has all these ledges. It was like built in the 50s or something, and they ledges to sit on. But now, hey, they're getting skated, and the city just kind of gave it to the skaters. They said, fine, no problem. Make it a skate park. It's cool. It's a free skate park we didn't have to build. So that is an amazing spot. And there's spots all over the city, just like mini spots. And it's a really fun city to skate in. There's hippies everywhere. Everybody's got a cool vibe. It's a tech city too. So that whole trip was amazing. We went out to Roseville and stayed with his sister who lived out there at the time. And Patty is an amazing person. Patty, if you're watching this, thank you so much. And we got to stay over there for free. She hooked us up with a couch, and a floor to sleep on. And we went out and hung out with Robbie's friends. Went to all the school where Brandon Biebel did manuals and filmed the ledge tricks and stuff. By the time we got there, the ledge was already taken out. That was in Yeah Right, but you guys might know what I'm talking about. You might not have no clue what I'm talking about right now, but that's okay. There's also some downhill mani spots and other cool skate spots out there. We got to skate a lot of them. We hung out with his friends, smoked some weed. I smoked out of a fucking 5-foot bong. That was the craziest shit ever. And we played some music and had a great time. It was really fun. And Robbie got to meet up with his girlfriend from high school. That was really cool. So we flew back, and I was just kind of in love. I was in love with California at that point, and really love at first sight. It was spring break, right? So school is ending in a couple months. June, that was it. We graduated. It was amazing. I have a picture of me at my graduation ceremony on my blog, trevorjfender.com. Check it out. I had really big hair at the time. It was hilarious, and but yeah, it was rock star status, right? So had a girlfriend, and she was actually a freshman. I was a senior, so we were kind of a distant, age group, but our personalities mixed really well. Our chemistry was really good. So, but up until that point, everything was great. And then I graduated. She graduated. She had a job during the summer, and so did I. So we hung out throughout the summer. And I really didn't know what I was going to do after the summer because seasons change out there. You can't just do the same thing. I worked at a theme park, and so they were open through the summer. They closed after the summer. So, I think that year I had a groundskeeper job or something like that. And so groundskeeping, there's nothing much to do when it's snowing outside and the theme park's closed. So that's it. Get laid off. So, but yeah, we hung out through the summer and had amazing experiences together. I did a lot of skateboarding that summer, a lot of filming, and we put together some videos. I mean, I don't know what happened to the videos. They got lost in all the moves that I've done since then, unfortunately. I wish I still had them. They're kind of cool, but maybe someday I'll find them. Maybe my dad has them. I'll try to see if he does. But yeah, that was just an amazing time, an amazing summer. But at the end of the summer, my job was ending. So what do I do? Well, I asked my mom. I said, Mom, look, her parents, my grandparents, live in Los Angeles, and at this point, that seems like the perfect city to go live in. Even though my uncle lives in San Francisco, I don't think he's really set up to have kids right now. I mean, well, to have, a guest like me. I mean, I guess I could have lived in San Francisco, but I just decided not to. I wanted to live in Los Angeles and experience LA. It's a little warmer down there and balmier, and it's a little more tropical out here, which I like. So San Francisco is more like Seattle. It's colder, generally speaking, 60s, 70s, so kind of like LA. And so, yeah, it came out to LA. It was crazy. My grandma said, hell no, and my grandpa said, hell no. Oh, no, take that back. My grandma was cool about it. My grandpa was kind of a douche, alcoholic type, so, had to catch him on a good day. So the first few times he said no, my mom kept trying, I kept asking. Eventually, he was probably sober one day, and he said, yeah, sure, no problem. Let him come out here, and we'll put him up, and he can find, a job and go to school and stuff. No problem, we'll help you out. So, I think, like, at the bottom of that guy's heart, even though he's kind of an alcoholic and, angry at all the time and stuff like that for whatever reason, I think he really liked helping people. And so that's one of the qualities about him that I liked, one of the few qualities, and, thanks to him, we were able to make this happen. So, and I think that's why he was with my grandma for, as long as they were together. They worked together for 40 plus years. So, the relationship wasn't great in the end, but growing up, hey, man, I took whatever I could get. So I was just psyched that, I had a room out there. So yeah, I think the first trip I made down to LA was by airplane. And I took the plane out. I got out. I took the flyaway bus to the Van Nuys flyaway. I got off the bus, and it was like 78 degrees in the middle of November. It was like November 15th or 16th or something. 18th or whatever, but yeah, it was, oh my god, it was cold in Idaho. It was like 36 degrees and raining, and I got off the bus, it was 80 degrees and sunny. I was in love at first sight. So yeah, I was in Van Nuys. Van Nuys isn't the greatest part of the valley now, like you guys probably know, but they lived in Winnetka, which is near Canoga Park area, but kind of like the nicer end of Canoga Park, the east side. Right across the street, right down the street from Pierce College, and near where Van Noen is, the Canoga Bowl. That's right where they lived. So that was really cool, and I had a room to stay in, so I was like so psyched. I got out there, and immediately, like, I got myself an internet connection. I got myself hooked up with MySpace, so I could connect with people. But yeah, I was like pretty much moving away from home, like a whole new experience, whole new city. It was crazy. Like, it was scary. I didn't know anybody. So at first, but I was psyched. I had my skateboard. And instead of Idaho, where like there's dirt roads everywhere, I had to drive really far to skate. Living in Los Angeles, you literally walk out your front door, there's a sidewalk. You can throw your skateboard down and skate down the street. I mean, it's an urban jungle. There's concrete everywhere, so it's the perfect town to skate. Yeah. And it's great because it's all connected. All the little towns are interconnected, so really fun. The first day I was out in Los Angeles skating, I skated like as far as I could go. I skated all the way up to Lanark Park, if you know where that is, in Canoga Park, and kickflipped the 6 stair that was there. It took me like 20 tries, but I kickflipped it. Now there's actually a professional skate plaza there, like really well built skate park, and it's just amazing that there's a skate park where I had first like found a skate spot. And then, like, I think the second or third day, I wanted to go up to this place, the Northridge skate park, that was in the phone book, because back then, you look up things that's in the phone book. I didn't have a smartphone back then. So I go to the skate park, and it's non-existent. There's a bunch of condos where it was, so apparently it got torn down. But there was a skate shop over around the corner called Empire Skate. Empire Skate was like this seedy kind of like strip mall sort of like, whatever skate shop, but the crew that was there, that was hanging out at the time, was really fucking cool. And the guys who was working there, name was Zach, and the kids that were hanging out there, Johnny, Tanner, Austin, Randy, and God, so many, Chase, Alex. There was like a million kids that were like hanging out and stuff, and it was really cool because I got to be like a total part of a new scene, a new group of kids that was like, it was like I literally got into this group of kids, and the first thing they did was like, hey, let's go to this party, So I went to a party at this like nice house up in the hills in Chatsworth. It was like crazy, like I hung out with them in high school the whole time or something, and it was just cool like that. Like, I was 18, I bought cigarettes for them and shit, whatever. And we would go and party and stuff, and it was really fun. We went skated everywhere. Back then, there weren't any skate parks in the valley, so it was just a bunch of skate spots. And skate spots are fun, Skate spots are really cool. And so I did a lot, man. My years between 2005 and like 2008, when I met Julie, were crazy because I really didn't have any like firm relationships with any girls. I had girlfriends here and there, and that was really fun, but nothing was serious really. So most of it was like skating. I had to find like day job. come summertime, like it gets really hot in LA usually, so I would go back up to Seattle, get a job out there where there's like more opportunity and stuff. I did that a few times. 2006, I went up to Idaho and I worked in a warehouse out there. I had a girlfriend that summer. We broke up. I moved back down to LA again. I had to go through Seattle and make some more money out there first, but I moved back to LA again. Remember I stayed at my friend Johnny's house. That was cool. He let me stay there, and I got a job at Petco, and then partied all that year. Crazy shit happened, man. Craziest parties, like just insane, like thrashing keggers and girls and skateboarding, and it was just like the funnest shit ever. But good times. I don't remember half of it. Most of it I don't remember. Really stoned and really like drunk a lot of it. So. But that was alright. It was a good time, and it was my college years. 2005, 2008. That was like 3 years of college, pretty much. So, college partying and going to community college and doing all right. I failed a couple classes and I passed a bunch more, so it was all good. And then 2007 rolled around. I met a guy named Omar who had a big influence on me. He was a very intellectual guy, so he got me thinking a lot more and being smarter and stuff like that. And having more conversations and debates. So he got me really good at debates and negotiation tactics, which are really good for getting people to do stuff that you want them to do, like selling. So he was a good salesman. I learned salesman techniques from him without really knowing that they were salesman techniques. So we hung out a lot. Even though he didn't skate, like he would ride a bike around while I skated. It was just like we were just like hanging out. Like I knew this guy was like had a smart head on him, even though he had like a kind of a dark past. And he didn't have the best habits, but he was a real smart guy. That's what I needed. I needed that influence in my life of the brain. So, really cool dude. I actually went out to Seattle with him, took him with me to Seattle that summer, and we worked at a moving company, had our own place, did a bunch of cool shit in Seattle. Went to Idaho for a couple weeks, didn't really do much, came back to LA on a Greyhound bus. And then none of my friends gave me a place, so I had to find my own place. I found a room, sorry, not a room, a bed, no, a futon in the living room of an apartment with like 6 other people, right? It was like a 3-bedroom apartment. There was like 6 people living there. Me and one other person in the living room. And then each bedroom had its own person. And anyway, so the guy wasn't supposed to be doing that, like leasing out all the rooms, but he was just kind of under the table, whatever. It was a crazy situation. And like I think the guy was kind of gay too, because when I first got the room, he actually had to drive me out to like meet up with some friend of his, and he was giving me all these weird gestures the whole time, and I ended up just getting my own hotel room because I was like, God, man, I can't deal with this guy. But I went out there with a few $100, so I just had enough to get by. Got the room and immediately hit up Craigslist for jobs. I actually found a job, went in, and like got laid off 2 days later because it just wasn't right for me. It was kind of beyond my skill level and ability. So I was skating a lot. I actually ended up dating this girl that I had known from before, and she and I kind of fell in love and did the whole dating thing. It was really fun, and moving out of that whole situation with the apartment. It was really weird, sketchy, and we went through a lot of times. Like it was like partying back then and stuff still. And I ended up meeting this guy named Josh James, who was a skater from Seattle. Helped him out a little bit because he was kind of homeless at the time. And then like I didn't have a job, and I was going broke, and I was going into debt, and I didn't know what to do. And my girlfriend's uncle showed me the movie The Secret, and he's like, yeah, man, you just got to learn like the law of attraction again. Obviously, you forgot it over time. And so I did, and it came back to me, and I realized, I was like, all right, visualize what's it going to take to do this. And then I was like, all right, I know what it's going to take to become successful again. And I just started diving into Craigslist, hitting people up all the time. And I got a job like the next day. It was crazy. I literally walked like 2 miles just to go to the interview because I didn't have a car, and I didn't want to like skate, and show up with my skateboard or get my skateboard stolen. So that's what I did, and I got the job. So that was kind of like the turning point. It was when I finally got a job in California. That was like a real job, and another seasonal job, but it was a real job, so I could stay. That was it. That was my in. So I'm gonna actually take a quick break, and I'm gonna finish the story right after this.